Scars here. So I apologize because I picked up a bit of a cold. I don't think I picked it up from sleeping out in the tent. As you'll recall, Al was going to be gone for about 10 days, left the country, so I was going to use that time to sleep in the tent. I did for about 7 days. On the 7th day, I started to feel a little bit of a scratchy throat, but I had been exposed to some kids who I think one of them had a cold, and I think he gave it to me, so I don't think it really had to do with being in the tent. I actually did really well in the tent. It was very comfortable. As I told you, all I have right now is the pad, the Climate Recon, I think Static V Recon pad, and then my poncho liner from the poncho that you know that I'm using thus far. Anyway, so I'm a little bit clogged up, so I apologize for that. The only thing I wanted to show you as far as my experience in the tent was, again, it really went really super well. No rain coming in, dry as a bone. In fact, I wanted to just highlight the fact that last night we got quite a bit of rain, and the water sort of pooled in between the poncho liner as a ground sheet and the tent. And so you can kind of see it. I think it's a little bit darker in the image. Anyway, it's completely bone dry. Even touching it, it doesn't come through. So it's just completely dry. So I was really pleased with that. The other thing I wanted to do today was, I know that I had mentioned that I didn't really want to do a lot of gear reviews without being sort of substantive on each item. But because Al was gone for 10 days and I was sick for a number of them, as a consequence, we didn't get down to pick up our mail drop. So when I went today, we had a lot of different items. And I thought, you know, in order just to bring them up to you, so that when I do them as actual reviews, as I'm actually out on the trail, you'll sort of have an understanding or a baseline of what we have and what we're going with. So I'll just touch on the things that we picked up today. I'll kind of break them down into what we had purchased for myself and what we had purchased potentially for Al. But as you know, because I have the luxury of her doing the first 4 days with me, we're going to still kind of continue in testing and review in those first 4 days, and we'll make some of the decisions. The biggest decision, frankly, is just the hydration system. We'll have both the squeeze and a inline for the hydration bags, and we'll make a decision about which to go with. But let me just go through real quickly. So the first thing I got was just some silicone seam sealer, I'm sorry. I got it because I'm going to put it on the sleep pads in order to not have them slide in the tent. So that's why I purchased this. If some seam needs to be sealed, we can do that too. But that was the purpose. Another thing I did was I purchased this Wolex extra lightweight hoodie for myself, and I did that because I wanted a merino wool base layer, and I thought that the hoodie would actually be a good thing to keep my ears from getting cold because we're starting in February, so that's an extra consideration. So I'll let you know how that works out, but I got that. Another thing that I purchased was, this is a 2-liter bladder. It's made by Evernew. It was recommended by Early Riser 71. I did look at the CNOC as well. I like the CNOC, but I do trust Early Riser and his experience with this and the squeeze together. So here's the thought about the hydration system. My preference, because it's the AT and there are a lot of water sources, would be to just go with 2 smart water bottles and the squeeze. That's the easiest. But in the evenings, that's only 2 liters of water. I don't want to be hunting for water in the morning. So I wanted to have a bladder, something like this, in order to, for my cooking in the evening, cleaning up, that sort of thing, so that when I started in the trail, my 2 smart water bottles would still be full and ready to go, and then I would just fill them up as I go. The only other consideration to that, and the reason that I'm thinking about using an actual hydration bag, like, I must have 4 Camelbacks that are like 3, I think they're 3 liters each. The reason I'm thinking about that is, again, simply because we're starting in February, I'm worried about frozen water sources. How many water sources will I have to miss as a consequence of the weather? I don't know. So it's one of the sort of things that I hope to learn just before the trip. What is the winter like this year? What do we find and experience between Springer and Neal's Gap? What are we hearing from further up the trail? And that sort of thing about making the decision. Okay, so that's what the thought about this is. This for evening with 2 smart water bottles for my actual hiking hydration. So in support of that, also got the Sawyer squeeze. I have a Sawyer squeeze already, but I thought I'll start with a brand new one for the trail. That way, any sediment issues, any sort of clogging issues, at least I won't start out with that as an issue. So I did get this as well. So let's move on to what I got. Oh, I'm sorry. Sort of the biggest issue for me. So these are the Innovate 325s, non-GTX, non-waterproof 325s. And as you know, I've been looking around, really doing a whole bunch of research. This is sort of what I came up as a compromise. This is literally like a trail runner, but it's a mid-ankle. So I thought, again, February, even with the gaiters that I have, OR gaiters that I have, it'd be nice to have that little bit of extra height and theoretically ankle support. But I wanted something that was super light and would dry quickly. So these are very, very sort of, obviously, you can't feel this, but hopefully this will give you a sense of how sort of light these are. They have a little bit more coverage on them, kind of like my Vask do, along the sides, but then they're very ventilated up front here. You can probably see just from the texture. So this is really good ventilation. This has a little bit more coverage, so I'm thinking for February in the early months that this would be sort of a good compromise between the 2. So that I'm super excited about this. I'm hoping that they'll work as I intend. Okay, so for Rochelle, got her several things. One is this is Sakir waterproof bags. I got her a 20 liter in blue as her primary bear bag. I got her another 10 liter in blue, which is for her food. It's like for her food bag. So for the food for that day bag. That way she can just take this out, have it readily available, but then just take it, stick it in with the 20 when we hang it. And I'm gonna have the same sort of thing. They're all gonna be color coded, so her food setup is this blue. Then I got her just this is a camouflage little 5 liter. That'll be her incidental bags. Little med kit, little repair kit, whatever. That's what this little bag will be. The other thing I got her was this Vicello, I hope that's how you pronounce it, V800 headlamp. Pardon me, I do apologize. This headlamp, I selected this particular headlamp because it had a lot of good ratings, but it had ratings based on things that I was looking for. First thing is it's 168 looms, and with 168 looms, you get 30 hours of continuous light. That's pretty good. 75, which is this is white light. 75, you get 55 hours with 75 looms. Then you can go down to 10 looms and get 120 hours, or you can have red lamp, which I believe is 17 looms, and it is 80 hours of runtime. The other thing I like about it is this is IPX6 water resistant, which obviously is important to us. So that was key. Another critical component was the white and red lights have separate switches. So as a consequence, you're not toggling through a bunch of white light to get to red light, which of course is a problem with some of the lamps. So why was this a good pick for us? It's light. It has good looms, good runtime, separate switches for white and red. So this is, we'll give this a try and see if she likes it, but the reviews on it were actually really good. I also got her a pair of just glove liners. These, again, a couple people had said that they liked them high long. I don't know, but as far as a glove liner. So she has some glove liners already, but I figured, I don't know how these things break down. Hers probably haven't been used in a while. I'll just get her a new pair. Again, she'll give it a try, and we'll let you know whether that particular brand and those were good, both for as far as keeping you warm, but also dexterity, what she can do with those gloves in manipulating things like you would have to do in the evenings. I got her some hot lips for her little pot, so that when we're cooking she won't burn herself. Here's the other piece. So this is the Sawyer Mini. Like I said, I had a squeeze, got this other squeeze, but I didn't have a mini. We use this, do it in line with with two technically, of the hydration bags, the Camelbacks that we have. And I got the adapter kit so that we can just sort of put them together, try it as a gravity feed. I'm a little bit worried about the gravity feed, frankly, in the winter time that we're gonna be there, because I'm afraid of them freezing. But again, we won't know. The beauty is we do have 4 days in order to sort of test it out and see if that's viable and just see which one works better for us. My preference, but at the end of the day is I gotta remain flexible and will. So the other thing was I got her a little titanium spoon. So this one, my other one is a Sea to Summit, and this one is a Toaks, titanium spoon. So got her that, and then last, which is going to be our secret, you have to promise right now, you're either going to have to turn the video off or you're going to have to promise to keep this secret. I got her a Go Girl. So for those guys, you can ignore the rest of this conversation, but for the gals who are watching the channel, you probably already know what this is, but anyway, this is it says, allows women the convenience of standing to urinate. So I thought, I looked at it and I said, boy, that would be super, super convenient, particularly when it's going to be so cold and that sort of thing. So she doesn't know I got it for her. She'll be super embarrassed. She'll certainly not want me to raise it with you. What I'll do is I'll have her try this out, and then I'll give you feedback, but you have to promise that we don't tell her, okay? So that she doesn't get embarrassed that we're giving feedback about the Go Girl. I got the Go Girl instead of the She-Wee because the She-Wee looked like it'd splatter all over the place. What do I know? But that's what it looked like, so I went with this. So anyway, I will give you feedback, and if you have any questions about it, you can certainly ask. Last, but certainly not least, is right now I am videotaping on a iPhone 8 Plus that Elle purchased for me when she was back in the States. It is probably the only thing I have that has more uses than my tarp, as far as number of different tools that it brings to the table. So I hope the video quality is better than it was on the 5S that I was using previously. It is quite a big phone. It's, I think, a 5.5 inch, must be diagonal, but 5.5 inch screen. And it's The quality of the camera and everything supposedly is really, really exceptional. It is 7 ounces, so it's not very light, frankly, but you know, what does it do? I mean, it's going to do everything. I have gut hooks on there. I've got all my video editing capability and everything on there. Obviously the phone. I've got my read books, podcasts, all sorts of different things, all in one device. So I think it's definitely worth the investment, and definitely worth the wait that'll bring. So anyway, again, like I said, you know, doing a gear review without a lot of context to it, without having tested it out, okay, I'm sorry about that. But at least it gives you a reference point that once I get out and I'm using these things and I'm making reference to them, I will consciously say, hey, and this is how this is performing. And so before I end this, I will just follow up on the one item that seems to be a topic of some questions, and that is the Kilt. So the Kilt, as far as I'm concerned, is working exceptionally well. It has Velcro instead of buttons as a closure. So as a consequence, it can get bigger and smaller, you know, as I lose weight. But the beauty is that because it doesn't have any buckles or it doesn't have any buttons or anything, it's very flat. So it doesn't in any way interfere with or put pressure on me when I put the belt on, or the belt harness on from the pack. You know, I have a pair of pants too that I'm looking at to take, but I'm not even sure if I'm going to now. I have to wear a belt with those. Theoretically, I guess the waist belt from the pack could hold my pants up. But I was originally looking for just a thin nylon belt. But when I used that, the buckle that it had, of course, is still pushing, and it's a little bit uncomfortable. With this, it's not. And of course, since it's only touching you there and not anywhere else, not on your legs or anything else, the freedom of movement is just exceptional. I mean, it's funny that we ever enslaved ourselves to a pair of pants, because it really is much nicer to hike in than our shorts or a pair of pants. So that's where they stand right now. What I'm going to try to do is, I'm not sure if I'm going to wear a pair of pants when I go out in February, or if I'm going to wear the Kilt with, I have 2 options. One is a pair of Nike running pants. That's what I've been using, as I might have mentioned. That's what I've been using for my nighttime out here, because it's only in the high 40s at night, and they've been working exceptionally well. I'm thinking about those being my hikers, and then I have a pair of fleece running pants that I would use as my nighttime gear. That's what I'm thinking of out on the trail. So I'm thinking about just wearing those Nike running pants underneath the Kilt. We'll see how that works. If it doesn't work, then I'll go with a pair of pants with the Nike running pants underneath those. So I appreciate it. I appreciate your time. I hope this one hasn't been too long. I guess it has been. Darn, it's over 20 minutes. I really apologize for that, but I do appreciate your time. If you've enjoyed the video, please like it, hit like. If you want to continue the conversation, you want to continue to follow the channel, please subscribe. I really appreciate all the support. And in the meantime, I will get my act together and we'll go hiking. I believe this week is supposed to be quite rainy, so we'll get over this cold, and I'll get you out on some rainy days, and we'll test some of the gear out in the rain. So, thank you very much. With that, Scars out.